Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, 14th chapter, text number 30. Maitreya Uvacha Saivam Samvidite Bhartra Manmathon Mathitendriya Jagraha Vaso Brahmarsher Vrashaliva Gataptrapa. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Maitreya said, Diti was thus informed by her husband, but she was pressed by Cupid for sexual satisfaction. She caught hold of the clothing of the great Brahmana sage, just like a shameless public prostitute. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The difference between a married wife and a public prostitute is that one is restrained in sex life by the rules and regulations of the scriptures, whereas the other is unrestricted in sex life and is conducted solely by the strong sex urge. Although very enlightened, Kashyapa, the great sage, became a victim of his prostitute wife. Such is the strong force of material energy. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport.
Thus we see this incident of how Kashyapa Muni, in spite of being a great tapasvi, being a Brahmarishi, still he was induced by his wife to do something which was against the scriptures. And it is worth noting that Kashyapa Muni, after having succumbed to his wife's Diti's request, he admitted to himself that there is going to be a reaction. He has, it says that he paid his obeisances to the worshipable fate. Worshipable fate. Fate is something like the laws of God. One does not want to, a real Vaishnava does not want to make exemptions for himself from the laws of God. The stringent laws of material nature are actually laws of God. One suffers in this material world for what sins that he has done. And the laws of God is such that for the sins one has to suffer. So even Vaishnavas, they pray that you please give me all the reactions for all my past misdoings. But please let me always remember your lotus feet. Let me depend upon you. The devotee does not ask exemption from reactions to his activities. That is a level of responsibility of action that a Vaishnava develops. Not even a little tinge of shelter will he take of the fact that because I am chanting Hare Krishna, my sins will all be wiped out. No, he doesn't think like that. To whatever degree one thinks, very mildly or very grossly, very mildly by taking for granted that I am a devotee, if I do sinful activities, I will be free from reaction because I am chanting every day, mildly. Or somebody who does sinful activity purposely or intentionally, knowing very well that okay, anyway I am chanting Hare Krishna, it will all be wiped out, grossly. Either of these approaches towards forbidden acts is considered to be an offense to the holy name, considered to be an offense to the Lord. So very interesting. You can see the mentality, or you can see the approach of an advanced soul. He is paying his obeisances to the worshipable fate, and he is prepared to suffer the consequences. That means what is in his mind? A great sense of responsibility for his own acts. Does not matter, he was induced by his wife, but doesn't matter. As far as he is concerned, understanding his wife's purpose, he is obliged to perform the forbidden act, and thus after offering his obeisances unto the worshipable fate, he lay with her in a secluded place. So this consciousness is extremely important, is a very fundamental consciousness for anybody who is a Vaishnava. Because a Vaishnava knows that this material world is created by the Lord, and the agents in the material world, the demigods, they are all empowered to carry out His order, to deliver sukha and dukkha to the living entities. He is not asking the Lord to recommend, to make an exemption to the sukha and dukkha, but he is praying one thing: please let me always remember your lotus feet. Let me become increasingly Krishna conscious. So that is the prayer of a Vaishnava. He knows how to creatively convert sukha and dukkha both into bhakti. Because bhakti is unconditional. Ahetuki apratihata. In any material condition you can implement bhakti, or love for Krishna. Under any temptations you can please the Lord by resisting those temptations. So anyway, whatever it may be the condition, just see how wonderful this Krishna consciousness is, how unconditional bhakti is. Whether sukha or dukkha, there's a way to convert that sukha and dukkha into a spiritual advancement, an impetus for spiritual advancement. And sukha and dukkha are, suppose if you simply enjoy sukha or dukkha, that is the end of it, and that is for your soul, and that's for your body, and it is finite. Suppose you convert sukha and dukkha into devotion for the Lord, admitting, accepting the Lord's will, depending upon the Lord to always be under His shelter, even in the midst of experiencing reactions of the past deeds. That way the devotee is converting, expert in converting everything to bhakti. The Bhagavad Gita itself, in the beginning itself we are taught this lesson: don't get carried away by sukha and dukkha, success and failure. Extreme pinching of heart is there when dukkha comes. It says take it all, take it lightly. In the sense that we know that what is its position. It will come and it will go. Nothing is permanent. So that equanimity of mind is constantly being preached to by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The equanimity between the dualities. Dualistic experiences in this material world are created due to our papa and punya. The ultimate cause of everything is our own action. So spiritual advancement means the person becomes extremely sensitive to his exercises of free will. He does not whimsically throw away his free will in doing something. He consults the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and then prays to the Lord and takes his, at least the major decisions in his life. Leave alone all this silly decision of, sinful activities. That will take us nowhere. One does not even start coming to the platform of a gentleman or a Vaishnava. Very difficult in Kali Yuga. It is not easy. Therefore, very extreme mercy is given by Srila Prabhupada in the form of the chanting of the holy name of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If not for the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, nobody in Krishna consciousness movement, who is now in Krishna consciousness movement, could have ever given up sinful activities. Or at least should have tried to give up sinful activities. Because sinful activities range from gross to subtle. We know in Krishna consciousness, ultimately independent sense of independent enjoyment is a sinful tendency of the heart. To give up that even for a devotee is very difficult. Because the mind and if he has taken birth in a body, it is meant for enjoying. So many destined sukhas are there. Dukkha is live. So many destined sukhas also will come and fall on our lap. So to dovetail that, to convert that into bhakti, by offering that sukha or utilizing that sukha for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna, this is the endeavor of a Vaishnava. While he is living in this material world, while he is living in this material body, which is sure to bring about continuous, according to Kala, sukha and dukkha, sukha and dukkha, sukha and dukkha. Nobody's life, no one's life is always sukha. That is a big illusion. Nobody's life is always dukkha. Material sukha and material dukkha. Only those who are transcended and those who understand that I am the spirit soul, I am not this body, my pleasure is a soul pleasure and not body pleasure, and soul pleasure is the pleasure of boundless pleasure of engaging in devotion service of the Lord. That practice we have to do in getting the higher taste. As Prabhupada explains in this purport, how Thakur Haridas was never affected by the alluring steps taken by the prostitute in the middle of the night. He was unaffected because he was connected in devotional service. He was chanting. His soul was engaged in boundless pleasure of satisfaction of pleasing the holy name of the Lord. So where is the question, how can a torchlight stand in front of the sun? So the prostitute's offer was like a torchlight. And he was already immersed in the sun. Therefore, they were not even bothered about it. The torch is just showing like this in front of the sun. No use. But in the case of Kashyapa Muni, because he was not a pure devotee of the Lord, he was simply a Brahmana Rishi. He was not in the sun of Krishna consciousness. So even torch attracted him. He fell for it. A great principle in Krishna consciousness, as Prabhupada explains in this purport, how the Vaishnavas, the personalist and impersonalist, he compares. Yes, Kashyapa Muni appears to be an impersonalist. Comparing his character with that of Thakur Haridasa, as referred to above, it is clear that the personalist is stronger in sense control than impersonalist. Because we all have our sense faculties out into this material world. And it cannot keep quiet. It has to entangle into something. Seeing, doing, everything. It has to entangle into something. So if you don't give occupation in connection with Krishna for your seeing, don't give occupation for your ears to hear Krishna Katha, Bhagavatam. If you don't give opportunity for all your senses, tongue, everything, to touch or to engage in connection with Krishna, something else will come and engage. Maya will come and engage. This is the entire secret of Krishna conscious advancement. Rishikena sevanam bhakti ruchyate. All our senses should be engaged in the service of the Lord. And very intelligently how to connect our senses of seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, doing, all these things, how they can be connected. That is very nicely given in our Krishna consciousness movement by the Acharyas. The knowledge is given. How to engage everything in relationship with Krishna. How to work for Krishna. We cannot keep quiet without doing any work. We always have to do some work. So if you don't work for Krishna, you will have to work for your false ego. This is the point. So therefore, Ras Thakur had replaced all his full engagement, his whole consciousness was in Krishna consciousness. Seeing, touching, smelling, tasting, everything. So therefore he was not affected by this allurement of Maya. This is a principle that we are asked as Vaishnavas to practice in Krishna consciousness. What is that? Don't try to control your senses on your own. Don't try to control yours. Just focus on this force, urge of the senses and then try to control it. It will not work. Krishna has to be in the picture, then you will succeed. As long as Krishna is not in the picture, you will not succeed. What kind of rishis they are? Kashyapa Muni and all, wow, powerful rishis they are. They could not control. Can we control? We cannot control. The only kripa, the only is chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Keep ourselves transcendental by our chanting in the morning. That itself will take away the force of Maya from your life. And then during the day, anything, any enticement like that, we should take it as an opportunity to convert into pleasure of Krishna by dovetailing the very same thing. Very intelligently, Buddhi Yoga. This is Krishna consciousness. Very intelligently you manage your mind, your body, your senses, your intelligence. That is very nicely managed during the day. You cannot manage them unless you chant in the morning, Hare Krishna. If you don't chant, then you cannot even differentiate your body, mind and all these things. Everything will be one. I am the body. That is, if you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you know, okay, I am above this body and I have to control this body, I have to control this mind, I have to control my intelligence. So you have the ability to see your intelligence, see your mind, see your body, see your bodily senses. You have the ability to stand transcendental and watch and dovetail and experience higher taste. The higher taste is giving pleasure to the Lord in the heart, pleasing pleasure to Guru and Krishna in the heart. And one takes satisfaction in that, one rejoices in that self. One rejoices in the success of giving pleasure. One rejoices in the success of having given up the Maya's, rejected Maya. This has to be practiced. One should not give up, one should be determined. One has got the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra we have got the power of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra with us. Does not matter how many times we fail, but never give up the attempt. Go on and the Lord is watching in our heart. It is from failure we get success. We have failed in this material world to experience of Satchidananda. That's why now we are come into this material, spiritual world itself. Now having come into the spiritual world again, and our goal is very clear, and if we don't give up our attempt, then failure is not an issue. Failure is part of the process. But we have to take it in a proper spirit, proper attitude. What is the proper attitude? Here you see how he responsible is feeling for his action. Otherwise failure will not help. Failure you cannot the failure, if it has to, in failure in Krishna consciousness, in satisfying the Lord, following regulative principles, if the proper attitude is not there as prescribed here, that you tell yourself, I will suffer for this. Like Kashyapa Muni is taking, I will accept my fate. If I am doing this, I will accept this. When you say that, then you will not do it. When you don't say that, if you think that I'll chant Hare Krishna, it will all get wiped out, you see there is no significance at all to my sinful activity. What is there? There is no consequences. When if you don't feel consequences, then it will never stop. You will go on failing again and again. You should have a motivation. I am responsible for it. Yes, I will. I am responsible for it. That is a significant thing. Even in the Prabhupada's that prayer that we are singing, he says, for all my misdoings, let me suffer. It is in this or another. It's in this. Another one. In his Virahashtaka. There, Prabhupada is saying that, let me suffer from all my misdoings, but please give me your remembrance always. That is all. This is a sense of responsibility. The free will of the person, of a Vaishnava, is never frittered away. That is a definition of a Vaishnava, actually. He considers it the property of the Lord. I cannot fritter away my free will. My free will is given to give pleasure to Krishna, not for false egos. I shall not misuse my free will. Most treasurable thing for a jiva is his free will. Any questions? जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.